Hello, LEGO fans, and welcome into a brand new episode of the Brick Hour podcast. I am JJ, otherwise known as Langster Builds.
I am Cameron, others known as Cameron Studios.
And we are joined today for this very fun creator interview with our good friend from Rochester LEGO User Group and Brick Universe traveling artist, Mr. Dave Zambito.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are very happy to have you, Dave. We've known you for a long time, but just
Yes.
in case anybody is not familiar with you, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Dave Zambito, as you mentioned, from Rochester, New York. Travel with Brick Universe on Instagram, just Dave_Zambito. Pretty straightforward.
And this is going to be typically like we do with our other creator interviews. We're just going to ask Dave questions about his mock building and things of that nature. So just starting off, how long have you been a fan of LEGO?
Since I could remember, some of the core memories I have in my childhood were of Lego. I could remember the first time that I touched a Lego brick in my cousin's basement when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, it just went from there. So as long as I can remember, there was a dark age, but there was never more than like a year and a half in between.
Oh, wow.
That I would pull out the bin of pieces and like build a castle or build. Honestly, like 99% of the time, building castles.
Yeah. When did you start mock building?
So pretty much from the get-go.
Wow.
My introduction to Legos, as I mentioned, in my cousin's basement, it was a big drawstring bag of probably like 20 sets or so. At the time, it was a ridiculous amount, just spread out on the floor, just all of them jumbled together. Some of the instructions that were there, some of the instructions were missing, but it was just basically build whatever you wanted to. And he had like the original yellow castle set, and some of the original space sets. So there was a bunch of minifigures. My brother gravitated towards building like spaceships and stuff like that, and I was just enthralled with the all the castle pieces. And just from that point, pretty much I could count maybe 20-30 sets that I built over the years.
Wow.
I would buy them. There's a handful of sets that I built in my adult life outside of like little speed build competitions and stuff like that you're building like a 50 piece set. Everything outside of that's been mock building for me.
Wow.
Really? So like, I guess I'm curious now, because like I would think that you've built like more sets. Like, where do you draw your inspiration from? Like, having not built as many sets as most Lego collectors, just your own mock building.
Variety of things. I think one of the big things would be Dungeons and Dragons and other like fantasy franchises. But I've always been huge into Dungeons and Dragons since probably like 11, 12 years old. Started reading J.R.R. Tolkien books around that same point of time. And so drew a lot of inspiration from that. As far back as I could remember, we would use Lego pieces for Dungeons and Dragon miniatures, like way back before it was something popular to do,
Wow.
So they lend well together. And outside of that, it's just when I was little, I wanted to be. If you asked me what do you want to be when you grow up, it would have been an artist. I always tell people never imagine that Lego would be the medium, but I've always had that creativity bug, and so just loved building. And Lego happened to be a toy that I was introduced to early, thanks to, as I mentioned, my cousin and my aunt and uncle.
So growing up, when you were going through and building a lot, did you tend to just like ask for sets and then just not build them and use the parts to do your own thing? Because obviously back then it was a lot more difficult to get your hands on parts.
Yep. So I would usually, if I built the set, I'd build it and take it apart within a couple hours so that I could get the pieces. There were a handful of sets I could remember, like the Wolf Pack, the little castle that they had on the 2 hours.
Yeah.
I got 3 copies of that.
Wow.
Because it had a bunch of pieces that I wanted to use to make like bigger castles and all those big ugly rock pieces. Nowadays, it's
God,
like, I think about Shiver, but back then, those are absolutely fantastic. A lot of space, and were obviously rocks, and I wasn't as worried as things, looking as detailed back then as it was as building a big castle and being able to do things bigger and cooler than the Lego sets that they were releasing.
So now I gotta imagine, like you said, your inspiration came from like Dungeons and Dragons. I imagine you have the Dungeons and Dragons set.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
It combined two of your favorite mediums.
It's while I don't buy myself sets. If I buy sets, I'm buying it for my wife, or I'm getting if it's like very specific pieces. I have Orthanc. That's the first Orthanc that they released, and I have Bag End. Those are the only two sets I have together, and those were bought by my wife for birthday and an anniversary and stuff like that. Outside of that, I don't buy myself sets to put together. Buy my wife sets. I'll ask her to mention if there's any cool techniques for me to check out or anything like that. But outside of that, yeah.
So, like, do you do most of your shopping through like BrickLink, Pab? Like, where do you get most of your pieces from?
Yeah, obviously, the physical Pab walls in store are bread and butter. Whenever I could do that, you're buying by volume, and especially for tiny pieces, which on my builds I use a lot of tiny pieces. It's so ridiculous. You're paying a fraction of a penny for pieces. BrickLink, obviously. If I'm doing like techniques like the rock work on this, I need tons of these little spoke tiles, and so you're not going to find specific pieces on the pick a brick wall.
Yeah,
right.
I've done a couple online pick a brick, like the online orders, but they take a long time to come in sometimes, and it's inconsistent as far as how quickly they come in. I have had better luck with BrickLink, and then anytime I could get used pieces, I get used pieces.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's when I'm building something that's 4 foot by 4 foot that I'm going to be displaying for like 2 or 3 years. It takes a lot of pieces, and you guys know how expensive it could be.
Just a little bit.
I will not shy away from used pieces, whether it's a job lot, like I'm picking up a bin from a coworker tomorrow after work, or we have a mutual friend, Doug, who has a BrickLink store. I'll go and help him out with stuff, and he'll pay me sometimes in used pieces and stuff like that. And so it's just whatever to get the medium, since it's just so expensive otherwise.
So obviously Castle is the theme that has influenced you the most throughout your building. How would you say your mock building has grown and developed over the years? When you look back at some of your earlier stuff, how do you kind of see how your builds have evolved?
So I had started on as far as like once I got into like the online space, there's a website back in the day called Mock Pages. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it at all.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I do not believe that I believe it's defunct at this point, but when I had gotten online, that was the first webpage I had gotten online with. And it was funny, just that was probably the biggest change as far as how I was building at first, because now I'm posting pictures online. Now I'm getting feedback from people. But at the same time, I'm just posting pictures online, so only a certain angle is important. And so for like a 4 or 5 year period that I was just posting stuff online and I wasn't really displaying stuff in person, I wasn't like anything that I put together, I was taking apart fairly shortly after, because there was no point in really keeping it together. I had the pictures of it. It was just from a specific vantage point that I had to make sure that it looked good from. And so that was fun as far as from an artistic point of view. I was a little bit freer to kind of do whatever I wanted to. And that's where I really started delving into quote unquote illegal building techniques. Just to get as much detail as I could. But a lot of those pieces wouldn't be able to be transported, and definitely I wouldn't be able to put on display anywhere.
Right.
God, how long ago was it that I joined up with Rocklug? Probably like 12 years ago, something like that. Found out about Rocklug, At that point, it was just like 5 guys that were meeting in a makerspace. It was like their 3rd or 4th meeting. Scott and Jeff were both around at that point.
Yep.
And a few other people. And they started talking about doing events and stuff like that. It's like, oh, cool. So, what are we doing at these events? Some of them were like hands-on events for kids to do and whatnot. But then we started talking about doing like display events. And it's like, oh, cool. Okay, let me show you guys some of the stuff that I take pictures of and post online. And so a few of the things that I posted online I still had together. It was like I brought to one of the events, and just the feedback that I got from people in person was pretty cool as far as that went. And so from there, doing more building for people to view in person, I had to more than pay attention to number one, transporting it from place to place, making it going to survive, which was for some of the detail that I do in my builds, that could be a challenge sometimes. But then outside of that, being viewed from every angle and building stuff to be viewed from every angle became obviously added a level of challenge to the building process. So I'd say that those were two of the bigger things. But then now with sorry if this is a really long-winded answer.
No, this is great.
It's amazing detail, like to be able to tie it all together.
Now with traveling with Brick Universe, one of the things I discovered very early on when I did my first show that I traveled with them was that people really were gravitated towards larger builds. And so I challenged myself, okay, I need to build something in the detail that I build other things in, but at a much larger scale. And so the first build that I had, I'm totally blanking on the name off the top of my head, but that I had built for Rochester 2 years ago, 4 feet by 4 feet, huge medieval build with all the detail and all the little cubbies for people to check out and whatnot. That was, again, like stepping in a different direction where not every build I'm doing is that large, but now I've done 2 builds that are, on a larger scale, because if I'm going to be displaying to a large audience and I'm going to be displaying as a featured artist, I'm going to want to make sure that, I'm bringing something, bigger and grander with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So like with your builds, you have you've done, like you just said, like the large 4 foot by 4 foot, you have the minifigure scale, you have the micro scale. Yep. What are like some of the challenges and differences working between those 3 mediums?
So I love working micro scale, honestly. That's if I had to only pick one thing to build for the rest of my life, it would be micro scale, because it's just really tons of fun. It's a lot more creative in the piece uses when it comes down to it, because you really need to figure out a way to pack a lot of detail using a few pieces into a small area. And unless I'm doing something that's just ridiculously large, again, or I haven't really talked about this too much, but those big builds that I've done for Brick Universe, some of the even some of the smaller or not quite as big builds that I do, I'm spending 70, 80, 120, 700 hours on some of those builds. It's spread out over a month or 2 months or
right.
But it's still it bears down on you, and doing the same build for that long, not have, in your mind, you got to split it up into milestones or else you'll go crazy. Whereas micro scale, it's like I could build a whole scene in a few hours, and it's just like, oh, that's awesome. And I get, some people that are drawn to just that one scene just as much as they would be drawn to like a gigantic build that I spent 40, 50, 80 hours on.
Do you find that people are more drawn to the larger builds or more towards the micro scale builds when you display?
More drawn towards the larger builds all in all, but there's a subset of people that really appreciate smaller builds and micro scale builds, and stuff like that, and that will take way more time looking at the micro scale stuff than they will at the minifigure scale stuff, because they want to see all of the different parts uses and try figuring out exactly which piece is which, and how you did different techniques and whatnot.
I get this flashback to my first Brick Universe, and we were right across from each other, and I was checking out some of your builds, and you had this Grim Reaper that used a bunny as part of its face, and I just couldn't believe that. I never thought of using a bunny that way, let alone inside a Grim Reaper. And like I think with like the bigger builds, you get like the big gasp initially, but like with the micro builds, like you said, they want to see the details, which I've always looked at the details.
Yeah, and the nice piece use like that, people really appreciate that. As Lego has started using more elements in that way too, people have a lot more fun like picking those things out.
Botanicals, that's a lot.
Yeah, the botanicals for sure.
Oh yeah.
I was going to ask the next question I'm going to ask you is regarding part usage. One of the things I've always very much admired about your builds is incredibly unique part usage. How do you get some of these ideas of like, I'm going to use, like Cam said, I'm going to use a bunny as part of the Grim Reaper's face. Like, how does that go through your head and you're like, that's the part I'm going to use this for?
So sometimes it is, I look at a piece when I first like see a new mold or something like that, and I immediately like say, oh, that's what it's going to be. Like, in the Friends sets, they have like this little piece that looks like a bar of soap or a sponge or something like that.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, to me, it looked like a little raft for a pool. And so I had to build a pool.
Wow.
So I built a pool, then I built a backyard, and I built the back of a house and a little scene behind it. And 3-4 hours later, I had like a little scene built around that. So I love doing that. That's one of the fun things with microscale is like starting off with one piece and building around it. As far as like the Grim Reaper, the bunny face for him, that was where as I'm building, I'm always keeping every piece kind of on the table, so to speak.
Okay.
So when it came time to do his face, I was looking at all sorts of white pieces. I have my minifigures, literally, I just have them lined up on a table on a bunch of green base plates that are on 1.5 big folding tables, and they're just all lined up there, and they're all slowly cannibalized for pieces because just like that's an easy way to find pieces on those minifigures,
right?
And then it'll be like all of my animals are like on plates like this, and so I'll just be looking around. So in that case, for white pieces, I come up to the drawers. I'm just looking around all the drawers, opening drawers that have white pieces, check what white pieces are in there. So nothing's really off the table. In that case, it was I'm walking around, looking down, look and see. Oh, there. It's funny because I have one of those bunny rabbits right there, but I'm looking at the rabbit from like the top view like that. When I look down on it, I'm like, if I could make that into the bridge of that would be perfect. And, so sometimes it's just like that chance, but it's the kind of the perseverance. The chance wouldn't be there if I didn't just keep looking through everything. And I might try 4 or 5 pieces for use before I'm finally like, oh, cool. Okay, that actually works. And I might like get the perfect piece, but then not be able to figure out a way to attach it good enough, and that'll sometimes be really frustrating. And I'll sometimes like quit a project when that happens because I just get I have like the perfect piece. Nothing else is going to look as good for that use that I was for what I was doing. And it won't be like a big project that I'm quitting, but it's like if that had happened with that Grim Reaper and the bunny rabbit wasn't so easy to attach to it, it might have been like mother effer, and
you move on,
push it aside and move on to the next thing. I have dozens of little things just sitting around on the various tables through here, like a stone giant king that I was
sick looking.
At some point. That was probably like 3 years ago. That thing's just been sitting over there with
so now it begs the question, what's the strangest, most random part usage in any of your builds that you've used that comes to mind?
I guess outside the bunny.
Yeah, the bunnies would really drew me to all your builds. Like I was looking at it.
There is a build I did. I wish I still had it together. It is Temple of the Terraskew, or Taras, or however you pronounce that, from Dungeons and Dragons, that big beast. But it uses, where is the dude? Look like I'm having a bunch of pieces in use. This one's still in the bag, but the killer croc body. So this was used as like a hillside and pieces were built around it on
Oh my god!
what do you call it? Flikr? No, is it Flikr? Yeah, Flikr account. There should be a and my website too. I'll plug it at some point during the show. But there's a picture of that. Unfortunately, as I said, I wish that I still had it together. But another one that I could think of right off the top of my head is a buddy. He used to be a member of the Lug years ago. My buddy Keith. He runs a bricklaying store. He ends up with random pieces all the time. And he had ended up with the tops of alligator heads without the alligator bodies, but he ended up with a bunch of them in the old gray color.
Ooh, okay.
No use for these. Can you, the old dark gray, can you do anything with these? And it's just like, absolutely, I'll figure out something to do with them.
Is there even any connection point on those?
There, you could slide a bar in, like the top of the mouth. I just have to be by where all of my animals are. Yeah, so they use the same connection, or they have
okay.
You could slide a bar in here. So I turned those into sails for a microscale pirate ship.
I remember seeing that.
Wow.
I'm
just picturing the Killer Croc. How many people are watching? Like, he uses the Killer Croc for that. I could be in my collection. Like, there's so many people that probably pissed off about
and I still wish that I had that together, so that I still had the Killer Croc in the build, and it couldn't possibly be put in anyone's collection. But another one, and I'm sorry, this is triggering some memories. And again,
this is
perfect. Fun. This is awesome.
There's another build that you could find on my website or my Flikr account. That same buddy Keith, he had given me a couple of these handles from some sort of Lego box, and he again challenged me to do something with them. And so they ended up being the fronts of pipes for Mario Brothers, like the top of the pipe.
Oh my god!
This is probably like 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. And so on my website, there's a picture that shows the finished build, but also shows a picture from the side of it and how like this thing's like all wedged like into this shape to get like the curve and whatnot.
Oh my god!
But again, like that was always anytime I had an opportunity to do that would be fun. I did a couple of what were they called? They're like iron builder competitions, except for it was like 4 people building at the same time. I'm blanking on those, but I did a few of those back in the day, and that was a lot of fun too, because you'd be like send a bunch of seed parts and have a month to build as many builds as you could using those seed parts. And so anytime somebody like forces the creativity like that, it's a lot of fun, because it's like sometimes it's hard to find inspiration. So when somebody is able to kind of give use this piece and do something with it, it helps. It's sometimes fun.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Thanks.
Do you ever find you get builder's block?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's it. I had just mentioned. It's where I never mind if somebody is giving me a challenge like that, because sometimes there will be times where I'll be staring at pieces for hours, start building something, don't like the way it's turning out, set it aside. Also, if I work on a really large project too, over a long period of time, I'm not going to want to build anything for a chunk of time after that as well.
Yeah.
I had done a commission for Rochester Regional Health. This was back near the beginning of the pandemic, so 2020. It would have been like this from February through August of 2020.
Wow.
And, that I was working on it, but because I had a time limit and it was a commission, it was like I was pushing myself to like work extra hours on and stuff like that. So by the time I was done with it, I was done building for probably like a month and a half after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're just like, I will sort pieces. If I'm going to be touching Lego, I'm going to be just sorting pieces. I'm not building anything. And it was probably a solid month and a half that I didn't actually like do any significant building.
Dang.
So now, like, has there been any projects where you were building it and you just told yourself to stop, but you didn't stop it, and you were able to come back to it later on?
A couple. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I have together right now. I don't have it together anymore. There was a again, like, and I keep referencing anything I don't have together that I'm currently like displaying at Brick Universe shows. All of the pictures of just about everything are on my website and my Flikr account, but
Which we will include in the description below.
Yeah.
There was a tennis match that had the math had annoyed me on it. But, I don't know how well everybody knows, but there's a lot of math that when it comes to Lego. I mean, talking to you guys, I'm sure that you guys know.
No, there definitely is a lot of math.
It's amazing how much math actually does go into it. Like, there's that one mat, like a play mat that somebody had that showed all the different mats on it.
Yep.
I wish I had that one. That one would have been super helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially like when I first when I was younger and building, and just because there was none of that when I was younger, and I definitely did not have an understanding of that. I was just stacking pieces on top of each other. Snot building wasn't a thing, but in any case, back to that. So the whole base of the tennis court, speaking of which, was a variety of different directions, snot plates and bricks. And so, figuring out the math was really annoying, and I wanted to get it as close to a real tennis court as possible. And so, there was a period of time that I had set that aside and then went back to it and was just like, you know what, it's Lego. Let's just make it look fun. And so I just shrunk down the size and just made the math work out. Then I'm guessing you guys have seen the arcade that I did like a year ago. That's another one that I probably went back to the most times. I tried building that 3 times before I got it correct. We had done an event a couple years ago at Strong Museum of Play that we had made those little arcade machines for. Yeah. And ever since then, I had planned on making an arcade for it. And it had taken, like, as I had mentioned, first attempt, I probably worked on it for 2 or 3 hours. Hated it, set it aside. But those little 3-in-1s were just sitting there, like, taunting me, like, you got to make something for us. You got to make something for us. You can't display us otherwise. And so, I forced myself to get back to it. Wasn't happy with it again. I tried making it a little bit too big, I think, as well. And so the third time, I think part of the key was I never set it down for too long, and never more than like 3 or 4 months before I picked it back up and gave it another try.
Nice. So I guess now, like, with obviously you've been doing traveling with Brick Universe, but I guess I want to go back to your past a little bit. Yeah. If you can tell us how you helped start Rock Lug, which was the local lug that we've all been a part of for some time.
As I mentioned, I heard about it, funnily enough, not locally, but heard about it through somebody I had met on mock pages. And his name was Peter. He was a younger member in the group, but met him on mock pages doing like a competition, and people just had mentioned what area they had lived in, and he had mentioned, oh my God, you're in Rochester. I'm in Rochester. We have this Lego user group. You got to come check it out. So as I mentioned, checked it out. There's like 4 or 5 guys. And from my, when I first joined, there wasn't a ton going on, and with so few members there, there's not going to be a ton going on, but they were really focused on just trying to get a presence out in the community. And so once they mentioned that they wouldn't mind if I brought stuff to display, and I started, talking about the stuff that I had built, I think that, I don't think that I could say, some of the comments that when they had first started, like, I brought some of the stuff in there, like, holy ass, what wait, this is Lego, this isn't glued together. Like, they were so mind boggled, like they didn't realize what you could do with Lego. And so that helps steer things kind of, I think, towards that, let's display stuff. Let's do more than just do little build events for the community with the community and stuff like that. So we started doing more display events with Museum of Play, the Science Museum that we have downtown.
Yep.
Another place we used to do an annual show that was pretty cool was the Garden Factory over in Gates.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Every Halloween we would go there and do a weekend.
No kidding.
That's fun.
A couple weekends before Halloween. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, around a couple years before the pandemic, they started changing their program around, and then I don't think that the events really picked back up after the pandemic. But yeah, those were a lot of fun, just doing those displays and whatnot. We started recruiting more people, which was pretty cool. But then when Brick Universe came to Rochester for the first time, I think they were kind of surprised by how many members we had. They weren't expecting. And at that point, there was only, I want to say like 20 or 30 people that were like,
wow.
You say only if
you know our club, yeah.
Years of how many people were displaying, but to them, like, that blew their mind, because I think the event that I'm going to be at next weekend in Western Virginia, I believe I saw 4 or 5 names down for community displayers that were going to be there. So it's like, and that's pretty normal, like somewhere between 5 and 10. So us having like 20, 25 people, I think really surprised them as far as that goes. But with the Brick Universe show coming to Rochester, I think that helped with like the recruitment as far as people finding out about our club and whatnot. One of the, I think, big changes that I made to the club to kind of make it more inviting and for people to have more fun was just to have us do fun stuff at the meetings. For the first couple years, the meetings were just people coming and talking about Lego and like showing, we could come and bring the stuff that we had displayed, but there was very little else going on. And so that was one of the things I started doing, those build challenges that we did, and a couple other different little events and whatnot. Nothing, too major, nothing that was like too flashy or that took away from, people just wanting to come out and come hang out and talking about Lego and whatnot. But one of the things to kind of make that one of my marks, so to speak, that I left on the club.
That's really cool. I mean, I remember going to Brick Universe back when you guys were at the Dome, and that was just really cool to see a Lego convention in my area, because I've heard like Brick World and everything.
Okay.
And then I actually didn't join Rock Lug because I ended up joining because good old Scott here was pestering me and Gina at line at the Lego store, and then I showed up when we were still at the German house, and then from there I did Brick Universe.
Yeah.
I went to one German house meeting, and then I missed like the next 2 meetings, and then the ownership changed, and then everything changed from there. But then it was like that Brick Universe where I first saw your builds, like truly saw your builds. So it's kind of cool how like that all kind of fell together. Yeah,
it worked out well. The people at Brick Universe, they really liked the stuff that I had right off the bat. I've had that winter cottage together for a long time, since 2018 or something silly like that.
Wow.
It amazes me how long that thing stayed together, honestly, like how much traveling I've done with it too. But the amount of texture, the detail I have, they just hadn't really seen that in builds before. And so from the get-go, they were, that first year, they started asking me as far as if I wanted to do any traveling, if I wanted to do any other shows and whatnot. And full-time work, kind of was not, I worked in group homes. I supervised group homes. It's a 24/7.
A
lot of weekends. So it was just not conducive for doing a lot of traveling, especially just taking a few days off here and there. But few years ago, my job responsibilities changed. I now train at my job, and it's Monday through Friday, and I have all sorts of time off, and I kind of set my own schedule, and I'm the one that makes the training calendar, so I can, be flexible as far as that
Yeah.
goes. And when that happened, a month and a half later, Brick Universe Rochester was going on. They had every year when they'd show up in Rochester, they'd ask me, "Hey, what's going on with your other job?" And I was like, as soon as I'm like, "Hey, I got good news," and they got really excited. And so we sat down, talked that weekend as far as specifics and whatnot. Did a couple of trial shows with them, and then started a year about almost 2 years ago. Yeah, started as a featured feature artist with Brick Universe. Has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was that. I remember when we heard, like, when the lug was told that you had taken that, we were all like, "That's awesome!" Like, it was really great to see that in the end. And they were persistent. They were on you from you're saying, they were on you from day one.
Yeah, every year they were asking me, "Hey, anything changed with work?" Because I had mentioned, if anything ever changes with work, it would, definitely something that I'd think about doing for sure. Because I it started with the displaying, with the lug doing, the strong events, the Garden Factory events, and the Science Center events, the Geneseo event, all those fun events we did. Just talking to people about what I'm building, seeing the look on people's faces, and just people like asking me, "That's not really Lego." Is wait, are those Lego pieces? Is that glued together? Having those questions where they're in total disbelief that what they're looking at is actually Lego.
So talking more about Brick Universe a little bit. You're obviously doing traveling shows now. You're traveling all over the country. What has the reception been with obviously people in those other areas, but also the other traveling artists, and kind of becoming, this entity that is getting promoted as a featured artist now in these different areas?
Tons of fun. Paul, who has been an artist there for a while, he was super inviting from the get-go.
That's cool.
From the first show that they had come to Rochester.
Paul Hetherington, right?
Yeah, Paul Hetherington. Yeah, he was really interested in the work that I did, and had so many questions, and was super supportive right off the bat. So he seemed really excited when I started traveling to other cities, kind of as a trial thing. And then Leah Chan, who's been around for a long time too. She's absolutely fantastic. She's probably the most fun as far as the people on tour. She does all of the NASA themed builds and whatnot. And it's like we'll be pulled outside in the middle of the night when we're like finishing setting up or something like that, so she could show us the International Space Station and stuff like that. And she's tons of fun. Her and her partner usually trying to get everyone to go out and eat and whatnot.
That's nice.
Yeah, which is cool. And then Mark he's super nice too. And had a couple meals with him at shows and whatnot. We've definitely all of us have gotten to know each other. And then the other featured artist has been around for a while, Ethan, younger kid. It's really cool to see somebody so young. I think he's like 24 or something like that.
Wow.
He's been doing this for a few years now too. Like as soon as
he's been over a while.
Yeah, he started working for them. And so it's cool to see, from that younger point of view, somebody who's actually traveling and trying to make a living off of the hobby, the art, whatever you want to look at it as.
Do you find that you're able to go back and forth with everybody, with the different artists, and learn from them, and then them also learn from you as well?
Definitely Paul and myself. With Ethan, I see that most of his builds are mosaics. But you see him building more detailed stuff here and there. Like at some of the shows now, he'll have a model here and there outside of his mosaics. So and they're pretty detailed, and so I like to think that I had some sort of influence. But For the most part, we each kind of stick to our own niche, so to speak.
Mhm. Yeah.
There is one new artist, and I am blanking on his name, who's recently started traveling to some shows that does a lot of really detailed Star Wars builds.
Oh.
I foresee the two of us continuing to exchange techniques and tips and stuff like that, because I've definitely been asking him a lot of questions at the shows and vice versa. And
Mhm.
And I'm blanking on his name off the top of my head, but yeah, I could foresee a little bit of that in the future between the two of us. Not
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool though.
I think that's what's great about Lego. Like, you're constantly like, there's always a new piece coming out every year, changes your techniques, and like you're always looking for a new way to start a technique. So like being able to work with other artists must be such like a treat for you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a lot of fun in there. Everyone that's on the tour is really cool, really nice. The family members that travel too are really nice. Haven't had only funny stories. And then, I'm sure you guys are aware, when you go to Lego conventions, you tend to meet some really cool people and some really
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And we all are obviously there for the same reason. So right off the bat, you have something in common with all these people that you're talking to, and so all the local artists. That's one of the cool things with Brick Universe is that we'll attract the local artists, and so I'll get to meet people from all over the place. And depending on I think we have 2 shows in Virginia this year still. I got to look at the schedule, but the one next week, and then later on in the year we'll be on the other side of Virginia. But I wouldn't be surprised if I end up seeing 1 or 2 people at both of those shows, because they'll enjoy traveling out, and so you get to know the local artist, and year after year too. Some of even the people that come, the adult fans and child fans that come to the show, some of the shows were in the same city year after year, and
Right.
you'll see them and you'll get talking to them and you'll be like, I know you. Were you here last year? And
Yeah.
you start laughing, yes, it's pretty cool.
And the last question I'm going to ask before we get to our fun speed round is, how often do you find yourself now, as traveling around, do you find yourself kind of swapping out or cycling through different builds? Like, how do you pick and choose what you're going to bring with you to these different cities now?
So Brick Universe transports a lot of my pieces, so that makes it nice and easy. I got a huge crate with a bunch of smaller crates and boxes in it that probably 85% of my pieces are in. Wow. Outside of that, it's just the fragile things that I'm transporting. Some of the newer, larger builds. The one that I built 2 years ago, I didn't think too much as far as the transportation of that one goes. So that one takes up a bit more space in my vehicle. But the one that I just did this year, the big winter themed castle build, that one, I'm just transporting the buildings from that one. And then the rest of it, Brick Universe transports for me, because when I was building it, there was a lot of thought that went into what are they going to be taking with them, and how can I minimize what I'm going to be taking with me.
That's fair.
That goes. So currently, everything that I have that's not just like a personal knickknack type thing, like some of the stuff I have up here and some of the stuff on my other personal knickknack shelf, I'm able to display right now. There was, at our last show, I had unfortunate casualty with one of my guys during setup. I'm not sure who done it. I'm over it at this point. It is, it is what it is. I think that it was one of the people that were like helping with moving around tables and stuff like that. But in any case, so like this guy, which would be kind of fun to show your viewers.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, this guy ended up. So that's kind of my retirement criteria is once it is so broken that I can't put it together. That's how long I'm going to try to
move on.
Yeah. So as long as things stay together during transportation, and then during shows, I'm going to aim to continue to display things as long as possible that way.
Awesome. So I guess now we'll go on to the speed round real quick.
Oh, fun.
So now your first set ever.
Oh my god, I couldn't tell you the name or the number, but it was a jousting medieval set. It came with 2 knights, a couple horses, and a princess that they were trying to get the heart of. But mentioned my cousin a couple times already. He had gotten it for me for my birthday once he realized how much I loved playing with his Lego in the basement.
Your favorite theme of all time?
Oh Lord. That's tough. It's probably going to be the original Wolfpack.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, if I had to pick one, yeah.
All right. What about your favorite set of all time?
Man, probably because I bought 3 sets of it. That Wolfpack castle there.
The original tower.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it had like the hidden treasure chest in it. The roofs were sloped. It was just so freaking cool. It definitely brings back memories.
Your favorite mock that you've ever built?
Ooh, so there is a little tiny Aztec temple, microscale Aztec temple.
Ooh.
It was the first thing to ever go viral for me. I posted it on mock pages, and Brothers Brick picked it up off of there, which they never picked stuff up off of that website. And that's what kind of convinced me that maybe people actually like what I do, and I should start actually taking better pictures and dusting before I take those and take a few pictures. And so that was when I first realized, oh wow, okay, let's go.
All right. What is the most challenging mock you've ever built?
Probably the commission for that the Rochester Regional Health. It was the Sands Constellation building. Minifigure scale, and the challenge was just logistics as far as learning to use BrickLink really, really quickly. Using somebody else's money to buy pieces was awkward at best.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And and just my first time using BrickLink didn't go over well. So yeah, that was definitely, there was a lot of frustration, and then there was a lot of hiccups with that. Certain pieces that I thought I had ordered didn't come in, and they were very much needed for what I was trying to do, and so I had to call a couple audibles. And since there was a strict deadline because it was for an event that they were doing, it was like, I just had to make it work. But sometimes when you have those deadlines, your brain thinks outside the bubble and you figure out things.
Yeah, I think all of us in Rocklug know that all too well when Brick Universe is quickly approaching. I built 5 brick heads in a week, trying to figure it out.
And the last one.
Yeah.
What's one build you really want to do? Like your penultimate dream mock you want to build?
The one I've been thinking about for the last couple of years since they and it's weird because it's definitely it's my style, but it's like outside of my style too. But since they started doing the botanical sets, I've been really impressed with those, and I want to do like a gnome village in like a big flower bed, or like an elephant village in like a big flower bed.
That'd be cool.
That's what I'm aiming to do for my next big display piece for Brick Universe, and I've been thinking about doing it, as I said, for a couple of years now. So that's probably at the top of my list as far as that goes. The next build I'm going to work on is a fall theme, as far as but a smaller build. So if Lockmere, finally remember the name 45 minutes later, the big build I did for the Rochester Brick Universe that I traveled around with last year, that has the wheat field in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that has a fall theme, but I want to have it more compact in a single building and really just push the fall theme and the pumpkins and all that other stuff. And so my aim is to have, I know that Halloween's going to be here soon, but yeah, my aim is to have something like that posted online around Halloween.
Nice.
That's cool. And do you have any kind of final advice for anyone that wants to get into mock building? Anybody who already is mock building? just some advice you have for them.
I wish I could show you my Mock Pages account and some of the first handful of things that I posted online, and then compare it to what I build and what I bring around and what I display nowadays, just so that people could see the difference that can come over just years of perseverance, getting more pieces, trying more things out, thinking outside of the box as much as possible, and just the difference between where I started from and where I am now. And it's like any other art form. It's something that with practice and with perseverance, you could actually you can get better at, and just like learn. It sounds so weird because it's learn new techniques, but you're literally, it's like I have techniques in the back of my head that will help me to get different effects out of Lego and different curves out of the Lego pieces, and different texture out of the Lego pieces and whatnot. So like any other art form, it's something that you can improve on.
That's really cool. Well, so as we wrap up here, where can everybody find you? Because you do have a show coming up soon.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I'm just going to pull up information on my phone because I am really good at accidentally giving the improper information. So let's go to me. And all right, so my website is davezambitoart.com.
Okay.
It's easy, my name and then art.com, no spaces. On Instagram, Dave_Zambito. Brick Universe, their website is brickuniverseusa.com. That's where you can get information for upcoming shows and ticket sales information and whatnot. We have a show upcoming in Western Virginia. Abingdon is the name of the town. There's a bunch of other towns and cities nearby there. That's just like the central city in that area. And then in the beginning of October, I believe the weekend of October 3rd, we will be back in Portland, Maryland, which is one of our annual shows that we do up there. And that's always tons of fun up there.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, all that will be linked in the description below, so you guys can check out Dave and his incredible stuff that he's got going on. And if you're close to a Brick Universe and any of the upcoming cities the rest of the year, you might have a chance of getting to see all of Dave's stuff.
Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Yes, very much so. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to everybody.
Thanks, Cameron. I appreciate you guys having me on. Always enjoy talking about what I do and our mutual passion, Lego. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, and as we now wrap up, I will tell everybody the usual spiel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. I hit the notification bell so you're notified when all brand new episodes of the pod go live. You can also think about becoming a channel member, just like these fine people as I pull up everyone's names because there's more people now. But just like as we usually have D Glaze, Ben Northway, Oliver Ames, Michelle Mondro, and Rich, the Medieval Brick Dad. Thank you guys all for being channel members. It is always great. You can join the Discord server if you want to see more and have more fun Lego discussions, and even share your own mock progress if you want to. You can find us on Instagram at the Brick Hour Pod. You can find me on Instagram at Langston Builds.
You can find me at Cameron Studios _.
And we will see everybody in the next episode. Have a great night. Happy building.